who's ready to listen to me literally just sit here and talk about book topics for however many minutes straight. Obviously you, because you clicked on this video. Before we get into today's video, I do want to say a quick thank you to the sponsor of today's video, which is none other than Squarespace. Squarespace is here to make building your online website as easy and simple as possible. One of my favorite things about Squarespace is their analytics tools, how you can see so many different analytics to keep your website running to the best that it can be. You can see site traffic, where people are coming from, what's working best for your website to keep it running smoothly. Squarespace has email campaigns. They help you build emails to be able to send out to bring in more website traffic and keep people interested in the website. And you can sell content on Squarespace. You can monetize your content by selling online access to online courses, blogs, videos, and memberships. You just simply set the price and say whether it's a one-time fee or it's an annual charge. As easy as that. So if you guys are interested, head on over to squarespace.com to start your free trial. And when you guys are ready to launch, head to squarespace.com/DestinyCivil to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much again to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. I just made this coffee at home today. Obviously, as you can tell, we have the little spring flower cup out because we are officially in spring. Also trying to get some energy up. I love filming these little book chat videos. I think they're so fun. I love literally just talking about the most random of topics. So that's what we're going to do today. I asked you guys over on my Instagram, which if you guys are ever looking for any socials down below, I always have all of them linked down below where you can find me. I have my Bookstagram and my Instagram. I'm trying to post more on my Bookstagram. But y'all, why is it so hard for me to take cute pics? Can we talk about that? Can we talk about that? Bookstagram, I love looking through, even on Pinterest especially. And then I'm like, I go to take a cute pic and I'm like, oh. Anyway, I asked these over on my Instagram, so let's get into these questions and talking about some bookish topics. I'm so excited. Starting off strong, favorite release so far this year. I was thinking about this, how we are only 4 months into the year. I don't know why 2025 has already felt like we're halfway through it at this point. My favorite release so far this year is honestly one that I did not expect to love as much as I do, and that is The Conditions of Will. I think hands down, that is definitely my favorite new release of the year so far. I've kind of been getting let down by new releases so far this year, which is kind of crazy, which was very unexpected for me. Like I said, I really enjoy the Magnolia Park series. I am more of a Daisy Hates girly myself. It was really interesting to go into this one because I really do enjoy Jessa Hastings' writing. So that's kind of like I was going in to see what that looked like outside of the Magnolia Park series, and I was not disappointed. How have you felt your book taste has changed over the years? I definitely think with anything, like think about it. Anything is going to change as you get older and like go through different things. Like for example, like fashion or things that you like, period, or even like TV shows, movies and stuff. Tastes, period, change throughout the years. Book tastes are no different, and I think it's more just like the season of life you're in, what's hitting different for you at that moment. And for me, I feel like when I first started making book videos, I feel like I was heavily, it's so funny because I feel like I was heavily into like the OG booktok, like I'm talking like 2020, 2021, like that era of booktok, but I was also into booktube, and I feel like the two at that moment in time, like or at least the YouTubers I was watching, it did not like cross. Like obviously they were making TikToks, but like it was different than like the booktok that was kind of trending and going around. So it was very funny to like watch me first make videos, and like I feel like it was so heavily influenced by booktok. So it was like, oh, I saw like, you know, the Addicted series and all of these different books that were getting like talked about. And for me, because growing up, I grew up watching YouTube. I always talk about this, but I didn't watch booktubers. Like that never crossed my mind to go into that on YouTube. I don't know why. Like I knew that YouTubers made things about like niche hobbies. Like there's gamers, there was, you know, the makeup community, literally self-help, like wellness. Like there's always been like a niche that people follow. For some reason, I don't know, like I just didn't even think ever to look for like booktubers, and I just like organically found them when I started watching them like in my like junior, senior year of high school. And it was just way different because I feel like I followed more like just literary YouTubers. Like they were reading like classics or like these more whatever, I don't know, style books. Then I would go on BookTok and they'd be talking about like this and that. Being on BookTok and like seeing so many things recommended, that was the first time that I had seen people like recommending me books. And what I mean by that is that nobody in my life reads, like not my parents, siblings, friends, like nobody. And I've grown up being a reader. That was like the first time that I had seen people being able to like recommend books. So I was like, oh, I was in it. So I feel like when I first started making like actual book videos on my channel, it was very influenced by like BookTok and the YouTubers and stuff that I was watching. It can still be the case because obviously I'm still in the community and I see what people are reading and stuff. But I feel like that's like where it started on the book channel, was just a lot of like friends on BookTube and BookTok and like what they were reading and stuff. I feel like you see that for like the first few years, and I feel like now kind of what I do is like, obviously I watch like other people's videos and I'm like, oh, if they're talking about this book or there's a new release and stuff, or if I see sometimes like, obviously if you're in the community and you see something being hyped, like you just have this curiosity to read it. But I feel like where I'm at now is just kind of all over the place. Like I will really pick up anything if somebody tells me it's good and like the plot kind of like catches attention in my brain. But if we're talking about like specific genres, definitely for the first few years, at least like 1 to 2 years of me, and I'm talking about like doing BookTube, like obviously throughout my life, like I just kind of read whatever. Like I would go to Barnes or the bookstore or be at the library and I would just pick up like whatever really interests me, and a lot of it was just like fiction. I remember like being in middle school and I would just read like kind of fiction books, never really fantasy. I was never a fantasy reader. But then once I started making like book videos and at the end of high school, it was actually kind of like I read a lot of romance. I was definitely more like primarily a romance reader, but I feel like that's kind of what was the most hyped that I was engaging with. So I was seeing the most videos and recommendations on kind of like romances. And I also would just like pick up a fiction book. Like I remember reading Writers and Lovers, A Little Life, Such a Fun Age. Like I remember I would just kind of pick up anything because I was so excited. Like I said, the world of like booktubers and BookTokers were so new to me, and I had never found anything like it, that I was so enamored by like if I watched my favorite YouTubers and they were talking about a book, I didn't even care if like, I guess I didn't even feel like I had like taste, because like I said, I also was during this time in high school getting off of like, I didn't really go to the bookstore a lot. I read a lot on Wattpad. So it had also been a while since I had read so many books. Now, don't get me wrong, I feel like I'm all over the place, but don't get me wrong, I did in high school. I would go to Barnes & Noble. Like I remember organically, like it's not saying I like paved the way for this, but it was so funny when I figured out like some of these books were being hyped on BookTok and stuff, like when I found it, because I remember One of Us is Lying was one of the books specifically that sticks out in my brain that I had just went to Barnes & Noble one day, and I remember it was like a new release and it was sitting at the front and it was sitting on one of these little like tower things, and I remember just picking that out to get it. And I remember just going and like picking the most random books. I kind of like to get back to, that's like if I went to Barnes recently, well actually my most recent trips to Barnes have been for new releases that I need to pick up, but the last few times I went to Barnes to just browse, I swear I have just been back to like, let me find a book that like nobody's talked about, because you have the freedom to do that. Like you can like go find a book that nobody's talked about. Like nobody's making you read the books that are hyped right now, but I also think it's very helpful with BookTok and BookTube. So my book tastes have changed, I feel like, through social media and through getting older and through reading different things, because sometimes I feel like stepping out of your comfort zone is definitely scary, but sometimes you need to do it. The first time that I remember stepping out of my comfort zone was reading The Cruel Prince for like one of the first book videos that I ever made. And then after that, like I had never read fantasy again, because I still to this day, like I reread the Cruel Prince trilogy after reading fantasy, and I was like, yeah, that's still just, I don't think it was a series for me personally. Stepping outside my comfort zone also has led me to find so many different books. Like I feel like I've always, like I said, I've picked up fiction books, but I feel like lately I really like reading just kind of like general fiction or like women's fiction or like anything like that. I like it. I don't know why we're there, but we are. I don't know if that made any sense, because I feel like it's all over the place, but now where I feel like my taste is at, where I will pretty much, if the plot sounds good, like if the premise of the book sounds interesting to me, I will pick it up and read it. Like there's not really a specific genre that I'm like, I can't see myself reading that. I get a lot of questions on this all the time. It's how do you stay focused on reading for so long? Staying focused on reading, if you are having trouble, because I'm there a lot, like I'll feel like reading, but then my brain is like focused on so many different things. And sometimes I feel like it takes a few minutes for you to like genuinely just like focus on reading and kind of shut off that brain noise, because I feel like that's why I read, is to shut off that brain noise that I feel. Sometimes if the brain noise is what I'll call it, because I feel like that's what keeps me distracted from reading, is so loud, I have to turn off everything. And I hate being in silence, like I hate it. I do not like silence at all. But sometimes I just have to turn off everything and then get into the book, and then I can turn on something in the background because I'm already in the book, so I'm not going to like distract myself from it. Or sometimes I feel like all it takes is just me putting on like lo-fi music on in the background, something that's not very distracting, like something like jazz music or something that is just very like soothing to the brain. But I am also somebody who watches literally like comfort movie TV YouTube in the background while I read, and like I have to have like a show on or something. But that's usually when I'm kind of more relaxed, honestly, and I'm like turning on a comfort show, because I don't need, like the brain is not going to separate itself. So I feel like my advice for staying focused is, one, to take all of your distractions away from you. Like if you're, I do this all the time where I realize I have been doom scrolling all day, so then I will literally like take my phone, put it away from me where I can't hear or like feel a notification. And then I also will, like I said, like turn everything off, or like turn something soothing on in the background, and like take all of those distractions and it just be you in the book. But sometimes you're just not in the mood to read. Like sometimes it's like I'm trying to force myself to do it. You're just not in the mood. And then ultimately you probably will end up not really liking the book. That's happened to me before, where I felt like sometimes I'm like, but I feel like if I was in the mood to be reading this book, I would really like it. So I don't know, my advice is just take the distractions away and then just kind of like try to put something that's soothing to you on. Have you been in more of a physical or Kindle mood lately? I definitely have been more in a Kindle mood lately, but I feel like a big part of what made me kind of not be in a physical mood, this question could be so different at any month, really. I feel like I'm getting back into the physical mood, but I feel like why I've been reading so much on my Kindle, or if I have my iPad or my phone or whatever it is because obviously, if you've been keeping up, life has been very chaotic, where I've been in the process of moving, or we've had to like go a few places. And so I've been traveling back and forth a lot of places, where like traveling with books, obviously I'm like, I'm just gonna bring my Kindle with me, because I'm like, you know, I don't want to bring the books with me, so I'm just gonna bring the Kindle because it's convenient. But also I read a lot in bed and before bed, or like right when I wake up in the morning, and there's just like, sometimes you can't get comfortable with a physical book. And so there's sometimes that I do read in bed and I'm reading the physical book because I'm like, I'm not trying to go to sleep or anything right now, and I'm just trying to be comfortable. But I feel like all of those different circumstances have kind of fed into why I'm more in the Kindle mood. But then I feel like I'm getting back in the physical mood though. One, I've been reading Great Big Beautiful Life physically, and I've been really enjoying it. But also I am getting back into a routine where, like, obviously I've moved into a new house and life is a little bit less chaotic, so I feel like I have all of my books back and stuff where I can read them physically, where it's not like, oh, I'm going back and forth, you know, like that's kind of why that happened. But also I feel like when the weather is nice, there's nothing that hits like sitting out on the porch or sitting out in the backyard, or like going somewhere and just like having your physical book with you. There's nothing like it. And I will say this too, for the first 3 months of the year, a little bit before the year started, I was in a very, very, very bad book slump. So also I just wasn't really reading books, period. And then when I was, I just kind of like had my Kindle and stuff because then life was chaotic. But now I've been like back into watching book videos, because I also couldn't watch book videos for a long time because I couldn't watch book videos because it was a constant reminder that I was in a book slump, and then it would make me anxious. So now I'm back into like watching book videos and like finding new things to watch and stuff. And I feel like I'm falling in love all over again with reading, which is very invigorating. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's very exciting. Do you still enjoy the Kindle Color Soft? Yes, I actually have 3 different Kindles, and the reason I have 3 is because I personally just like to be able to, 1, test out the different Kindles, and 2, be able to like recommend them based off of different things. I actually was going to do, I had this video idea where I wanted to do like testing out each different what do you call it, variation of the Kindle. So like the Kindle Paperwhite, the Kindle Colorsoft, the Kindle Scribe. Like I wanted to test all of those out and then kind of like tell you the pros and cons with each and every one of them and like recommending them for different things and stuff. So I had that video idea back in like the beginning of the year, and then I was gonna buy the Kindle Scribe because I also really like annotating and stuff. But then I was like, I don't know if anybody would like that video. If you would like that video, let me know if you would like it, because then I'll make it. But so that's why I initially had got all the different versions of the Kindle. So I have like the older, I think it's just like the last version of the Paperwhite, and I have the new Kindle Paperwhite, and I also have the Kindle Colorsoft. I have always loved the Kindle Colorsoft. I've had it since it released. I have never had any problems with it, and just something about the Kindle Colorsoft really scratches an itch in my brain. I love being able to see the colors, like even just like scrolling through on like the main page and seeing the covers, like having color on them and stuff. I really like that. And then I also like, there's this thing of the texture of the page, and it makes it easier for my eyes to see it. I didn't even change the setting, it's just like how it is. I personally would definitely recommend the Kindle Colorsoft. I really like it. If you don't care about the colors and stuff though, the price difference between a Kindle Colorsoft and a Kindle Paperwhite, I would definitely just go for a Kindle Paperwhite if you don't care about the colors and stuff. Is there a series you really want to read this year? Yes, I want to at least, like I'm saying at least, read the Infernal Devices trilogy. I was really shooting for the stars. I would say Infernal Devices and Mortal Instruments. I would like to finish those two series this year. What other series would I really like to read? Oh, I'm in the middle of this series right now, and I would like to read the rest of the books. I think there's a 4th book coming out soon. But these were like so entertaining to me. Like they were like a Wattpad fantasy read for me. It's so hard because like usually I do these videos and I'm like, yeah, like looking around at my books, and now I'm trying to envision them in my mind. I feel like there are some other series that I would like to start. I've been binge watching like Emmy's videos, and I feel like she reads so many different like fantasy books and also like dark romance, and I'm like, wow, like this is like, there's one person that's going to convince me to read them. It's her. I feel like if there's like a good series that anybody could recommend me, I would get into it. I feel like I'm not in the middle of a bunch of series. Like I feel like I haven't started a series in a while. I don't know if I'm making that up, but I genuinely don't feel like I'm in the middle of them. Like when I think about it, series are so much fun because like there's so many characters and stuff and the storyline to get into. So I would really like to get back into series. What does reading give you that nothing else does? Peace. Peace and some escapism, because I swear sometimes when I just need to get away from reality, like I know everybody says that, but genuinely when my brain noise is too loud, I just pick up a book because I'm like, I just need to escape reality for a little bit. Do you feel like book quality is going down since BookTok started? I see this conversation a lot. It's hard because I can see both sides. But I also feel like sometimes we're just looking at the books that are being heavily recommended. So, you know, if you're seeing like different authors that are being heavily recommended in the space, but I feel like that's just the book world and the amount of books published. It's a little defeating to say like all book quality has went down since BookTok has started, because that is absolutely not the case. There are so many amazing authors and books and being published that maybe just aren't as hyped up on BookTok, but I can see where this argument comes in with authors maybe that have like taken off on BookTok, or authors who see the formula of BookTok and then therefore kind of write a book to that formula. I feel like I've been seeing a lot of that for the past at least like year and a half, where I feel like authors see what books get a lot of hype on social media and get a lot of hype on BookTok. And it's understandable because in this day and age, and just how prominent books are within the BookTok and BookTube space and Bookstagram, obviously you would look at it and be like, BookTok and BookTube can be used as a tool to get your book out there. But I feel like there's a difference between using it as a tool to like try to get your book out there and like market it or like make videos about your book versus writing it for BookTok. I feel like there's a very distinct difference, and I feel like I have seen I almost fell out of this chair. I feel like I have seen a few books and authors, and even just like authors that I read, where I'm like, I feel like we're feeding into like some of the social media formula of what we've seen work. So it feels like you're thinking like, okay, I need to write this and this in a book, and now let me write a book based off of these things. Like that's what I've kind of seen a little bit. Definitely I wouldn't say, oh, all books are just bad, because there's so many books out in the world, and if you think that all of the books that you're seeing and it's just different, or the quality is going down, I would recommend turning away from what's being hyped up at the moment. And like I said earlier, go to a bookstore, find a book that nobody's ever talked about before, or go diversify your reads. What book made you realize your book taste was changing? Last year, I read Frederick Bachman. I read 3 books from Frederick Bachman. I read 2 Kristen Hanna books, and I read a few other ones kind of like on that like fiction, like different genres of fiction and stuff. And I realized how much harder it was hitting for me than like a romance book or a fantasy. And I was like, wow, I feel like I'm just really enjoying like stories that are heartwarming or important, or many different themes in them, and that are just like emotional, pull at your heartstrings. I feel like that was a turning point for me last year, was when I was reading those books and just realized like they were 5-star reads for me. Like I loved them so much, think about them literally still now. I feel like that's what got the wheels turning of like, I feel like I turned away from romance a little bit, and then I started going towards other things. Are you a one book at a time reader, or do you like reading multiple books at the same time? I do read multiple books at the same time. I feel like I used to be like, I do not understand how people do it. I will be in the middle of like 2 to 3, at one point maybe even 4 books, because it's like maybe I'm listening to one book and then I'm physically reading another book, and then I'm in between 2 different Kindle books because I may be filming 2 different videos right now, and I'm in the middle of all of these. And it doesn't get confusing for me, because I've seen that too of like, oh, does it get confusing reading multiple books at the same time? No, because the stories are so like, when I jump back into it, I just know the story. It never gets confusing in my head, thankfully, because I feel like I definitely am somebody that could get very easily confused from reading different books at the same time. But it doesn't. It never gets crossed in my head. What is something that immediately gives you 5-star vibes? Writing and witty banter. Like if there is really good writing where I'm like underlining a lot, or if I'm out and I'm like, oh, I wish I had a pen, you know? I'm like, I feel like that can start to give me the 5-star feeling, but also I just love like banter between characters. Like actually like really smart, witty banter. I really enjoy that. Always is gonna get a high rating for me in a book, is if it has really witty banter. Do you think the use of tropes has become oversaturated? Definitely, a little bit. Such a thing to unpack, actually. And I feel like, again, it's kind of calling back to what I said about like feeling like from a reader's perspective, it feels like there were tropes that were picked out, and then writing a book to the trope instead of just writing a story, and you just so happen to like organically find this trope that a book fit in. Like for example, if you're like, oh yeah, there's this story about, you know, these 2 characters, and like maybe they've crossed paths before, or like maybe they've just found each other and hit it off, and like that's just how their story goes. There's a difference between doing that and like organically kind of writing a trope in there versus being like, okay, like enemies to lovers is really hitting on BookTok right now, so I have to write an enemies to lovers book, and I have to include this, and this trope, because on BookTok they're saying that they're really enjoying this trope right now. I definitely feel like I have picked up so many books, definitely even this year, but within the past year itself, and I've been like, it just feels like from a reader's perspective that we are being like, oh, this is what's popular on BookTok, so I need to write this book to have these tropes in it. That way this book can be recommended because of this trope, because it's popular on BookTok. I definitely feel like that's where we're seeing some oversaturation with book tropes. You've had a lot of life changes recently. Has this influenced the kind of books you're reading? I got different variations of this question. No, I read to escape reality, so I do not read to relate to what I'm going through. I definitely read to like escape everything that I'm going through. So whatever I'm going through in life, it never really affects what I'm reading, unless it's just like I'm not in the mood for like a specific genre at the moment. But other than that, I'm not reading more like pregnancy tropes because I'm pregnant. Like that's not something that is going on with me. What's a book that's been on your radar forever that you haven't read yet? So many of them. If I could see my physical TBR right now, there would be a lot looking at me. I feel like I've had the Infernal Devices and Mortal Instruments books on my TBR forever, and I haven't read them yet. What's another one? One Day. I feel like I've been talking about that book for so long and I still haven't read it yet. Circe. I have had Circe on my physical TBR for probably like 2.5 years now. Still haven't read it, and I really want to. I actually do have that on my radar because I just got it recommended to me when I was looking at a TikTok or something, and I got it recommended Books with Yearning. I don't know what it means because like I said, I haven't read it, but I also really want to reread the Song of Achilles. I don't know why. Authors you want to try. Brandon Sanderson. I remember, nope, was it last year or the year before? It literally may have even been the year before. I have had the audiobook of Mistborn forever because that's where I've always like, people are like, if you're ever gonna get into Brandon Sanderson, start with Mistborn. And I'm like, okay. And he has so many books, and it's just like in the high fantasy. Is he high fantasy? I've been told, but I'm not in the high fantasy world. I've heard that he is like in the high fantasy, that he's just an author that like you need to read in that genre. What book ending would you change and why? I would change, the name's escaping me, but this is like, I still have beef with this from my childhood. The last book in the Divergent series, I would change that. If you have read the Divergent series, especially from a kid, I feel like if you read that as a kid, the beef that I have with that is, it's really unmatched, and I never talk about it, but I just got reminded of it like a few months ago when I was rereading Divergent, and I remembered, and I was like, I swear it kept me from rereading the rest of the series because I was just like, no. This one I thought was really funny. Which Emily Henry characters are most likely and least likely to stay together? Least likely, Alex and Poppy. Their miscommunication was so bad for so many years for me to believe that that relationship would work long term. I'm so sorry to my Alex and Poppy lovers. I know we're about to get the People We Meet on Vacation movie, and I don't dislike the book, but I'm saying if we had to choose a couple who were not going to stay together, I would say them. But then also, this is going to sound unhinged. This is going to sound unhinged. Wynn and Harriet. I know. I love Happy Place. I love that book with my whole entire heart. But their miscommunication, and also like some of the other little things that they had in the relationship, I'm like, I could see divorce down the road. Most likely to stay together, I definitely feel like Charlie and Nora, and then Gus and January. Like those are two that I feel like they just fit perfectly. Like they just both, everybody just like understands each other so well that I'm like, it just, their life feels seamless. Like it would just work. How do you decide to soft DNF versus regular DNF? I feel like soft DNF is usually on me, where I'm like, I'm soft DNFing this because I feel like I'm not in the mood for it right now, or like maybe my mind's too, you know, like how we talked about attention and being like, I don't know, like I just can't focus on this right now, or like I know it's something to do with me, where I'm like, I'm going to soft DNF this, pick this up at a different time, where maybe I'm not in the mood to read like a fantasy or a romance or whatever right now, but I picked it up anyway. An actual DNF is like, this is not a me thing, this is a book thing. Like I know that I wouldn't care about these characters at all if I continued on, or there's something that I just really didn't like about the book, or the writing is just not flowing with me, or I don't think that it's a very good book. Those are all of the questions that I had screenshotted. This lighting is really annoying me as we went on with this video, so I'm gonna end it here. I hope you guys enjoyed and had a fun time sitting down and book chatting with me. If you guys like these type of videos, I have some like more niche ones that I want to make that I'm excited to do, but I thought that we would start off with just me sitting down and chatting about some stuff. Also because I am in the process of moving. That was one of my last videos telling you guys that I moved. And I don't have, obviously, like I'm not in the book area yet. I don't have any of the books set up. Some of my like recommendations videos or like talking about books and stuff, it's a little hard for me to do because I don't have any of my books. And a lot of the times when I make those videos, I like go and I literally just like sit in front of my books and I just stare at them and like, you know, I kind of orchestrate the video. Don't have any other ones, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video and look forward to more, you know, like sit down book videos. I really like filming them because sometimes I like ranting about very niche things that I feel like nobody else really cares about, but I do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, you guys know what to do, like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff you guys had to do. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys, and I will see you guys when I see you. Peace.